Welcome to The Why. In our podcast, The Why, we're going to cover topics that are important to SAP customers and to our team. We want you to share this information internally. We want you to share this information outside of SAP Ariba. And we want you to be able to connect with other thought leaders in our business.
In this edition of The Why, we're going to be talking about how SAP Ariba is committed to our customers' success. Today, we're going to talk about the organization that is focused on our customers, the Ariba Customer Organization. And joining me for today's conversation is Rob Steinberg. Rob, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you, John. My pleasure.
Let's start off, and why don't you give us a quick overview of the Ariba Customer Organization, sort of what it's comprised of, and tell us a little bit about why the group was even put together.
Sure, no problem at all, John. So the group is comprised of two primary parts, if you will. One is something that you would think of traditionally, and it's consulting. It's consulting around our solutions as well as our supply enablement organization. And the second piece of the customer organization is around customer engagement. And it's really picking up the responsibility for the relationship, managing the relationship with the customer from the time that the sale is closed all the way through the life of the relationship, if you will. Basically, what the customer organization, at least the customer engagement part, the goal is to achieve a customer for life, if you will. You know, John, you had asked in regards to why it was formed. You know, historically, traditional software companies have really excelled at finding new prospects, pursuing new sales opportunities, and then closing the sale. But also historically, they've not necessarily excelled at managing and helping the customer get the most value out of what they just currently purchased. SAP Ariba actually saw this occur a number of years ago. They saw this as really an opportunity for them to really excel at this. And what they decided to do was form the Ariba Customer Organization to really focus in three areas. One is helping the customer adopt the technology that they own. Two, ensuring high customer satisfaction, not only with the customer organization, but throughout our SAP Ariba. And three, as I had mentioned, really to ultimately achieve a customer for life.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. As you are talking to your customers, do you find that this engagement model is different? Do other cloud companies have this? It sounds like this is really something that is more revolutionary in our space. Or is it really the standard that customers expect?
Well, I will tell you that back when we formed this back in 2008, it was revolutionary. What we're seeing with a lot of companies that chase a market leader, if you will, we are clearly the market leader in managing customer relationships. You're seeing a lot of our competitors actually model themselves after our program, and you'll see different bits and pieces. But I think that the real differentiator is the level of maturity and the level of depth and the various different customer-specific offerings that we have for our customers to be able to achieve high satisfaction, high adoption, and allow them to be a customer for life.
That's great. Yeah, sometimes imitation is the most sincere form of flattery, and you definitely know you're onto something when other people start copying, a little bit about what you're doing. So the customer engagement executive, you probably handle a lot of different things, right? Customers are at different levels of maturity, right? They sort of get started and then get adopting. If there is a typical day, what is a typical day like in the life of a customer engagement executive? Or for you, you've got a couple of really mature accounts. What's a typical day look like for you?
Well, John, that's what actually makes it interesting. No 2 days are the same, if you will, which makes it a lot of fun. But let me just walk you through some of the items actually that I'm involved now with. I'm working with a customer now, longer time customer. So this is I'd say been with Ariba for a couple of years now. They actually purchased us to replace the technology, to replace a legacy technology. All right. As such, that was their initial program goal. What they're now starting to try and shift to is, okay, how should, it's great. We replaced the technology, but now how should I measure the actual success, if you will? What should my program goals be? What should be the success criteria? And what I'm currently working with is actually internally with another customer-facing organization, our value realization team, which is part of our network value organization, to start to define a quarterly scorecard for them, in where we're defining metrics, KPIs, as well as how can you actually extract and get that information that's coming out of their SAP Ariba solutions to be able to populate the scorecard. So helping customers actually measure their goals, measure their success criteria. That's a big part of one of the things that I'm doing with one of my customers. Related to that, okay, especially now it's towards the end of the year. Other customers are starting to take a look at 2018 plans, all right, and what is it that they want to achieve. What I'm doing right now is starting to figure out what is the roadmap. If this is what you want to achieve, what are the steps? We want to bring on an additional division. What does that mean? What are the types of other Ariba resources? What are the types of the customer resources? Helping them plan things out. I have another customer that I spoke with yesterday, and they want to start to take a look at cognitive procurement and being able to actually make their procurement process a little bit more touchless, if you will.
Right.
The last big piece that we're doing is really sharing best practices and ideas to accelerate a customer success, if you will. I was working with a customer who was starting their journey with SAP Ariba, if you will, and they were starting to struggle with pieces of the deployment. Not so much the actual turning on the software, but more a matter of change management. How do they start to corral their organization, if you will? So, what I'm starting to share with them is again, how are other customers handling those challenges? All right. What were the tools that they used? What were the ideas? What were the programs that they put together? All right, that I could then turn around and share with my customer to share the best practices.
I got to believe our customers really are sometimes looking, for some of that information, and this role, right, and sort of what you're doing is sort of guiding them, right, along this journey to make sure that they've got access to the information they're looking for, huh?
Well, and that's exactly it. At times it's you say guiding. It's really more of a shepherding, if you will. It's the same thing, but that is exactly it. And that's all customer facing. The other thing that we do as part of the customer engagement executive role is really be their advocate and their champion inside of SAP Ariba. All right, whether that is advocating for a particular feature or functionality inside of a new product, or inside of an upcoming release. Whether it is reaching out to other departments, I talked about earlier, around the value realization team and engaging them. I had another customer where I had engaged them around working with a customer to measure the ROI achieved that they had achieved from their Ariba initiative, if you will. We also have a team to help customers as far as solution adoption. As you know, John, one of the things that we announced a couple of years ago is more of persona-based solutions. The first one being guided buying, really targeted to casual end users, if you will. I've engaged our solution optimization team, which is a group that really helps customers start to analyze and evaluate the new releases, and how do you start to go about adopting that into their particular Ariba initiative. And then, of course,
there's a lot of great assets that SAP Ariba has, and it seems like part of what you're doing is matching those to the current whatever the customer request happens to be, or whatever you think that they could use most. You mentioned the role was fun. You said, hey, it makes every day different. It makes every day a little bit fun. Let's talk a little bit about just the results, right? How do you know, or how is the organization sort of measuring either that fun or the customer's fun, right, or the customer's success, right, as we have now a relationship with them?
Well, actually, that's very important. It's two primary ways. All right. One is we conduct a semi-annual customer experience survey where we ask questions on a scale of 1 to 10 on various aspects of SAP Ariba, whether it is the customer organization, our support organization, all organizations inside of Ariba, as well as opportunities to get comments in there. I actually, this last round with one of my customers, I uncovered that there was a need or a deficiency in our supply enablement process for that particular customer. Using that feedback, we immediately went in, we re-engineered the process, and they achieved a 80% process savings around that. The second piece that we have engaged with our customers is a benchmarking program. And it's how I like to refer to it as it's really Hackett-like. So it allows our customers to see, based upon 200 different KPIs, how are they using their solutions, how are their procurement processes doing, how are their AP processes doing, compared to their peers, as well as compared to the entire customer breadth of SAP Ariba.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I would imagine every customer would want to have access to or participate in that benchmark program. Seems like it's great insights that we could provide to them.
Absolutely. I mean, one of the stats that we found in the last go around was, 84%, higher PO per FTE for customers using Ariba versus non-Ariba customers. So it's process efficiency in that particular stat. But this is something that we offer at no charge to our customers, just by, again, trying to make them even more successful.
That's awesome. And speaking of awesome, we at SAP Ariba have the sort of hashtag making procurement awesome. Tell me about the customer organization, sort of in either one hashtag or one sentence. What is the Ariba customer organization doing that you'd like everybody to remember?
Well, John, if I had to sum it up in one sentence, I think it's this. We make our customers wildly successful and incredibly happy.
That's phenomenal, Rob. Thank you very, very much for your time today. Thank you for making our customers wildly successful and incredibly happy. I appreciate it.
Thank you, John.
Our podcast, The Why, is put together by the SMO People First team. We'll be producing The Why on a regular basis. If you have recommendations for topics, please contact the People First team. And please share this podcast with other members of our team or even outside our team. Thank you for listening to The Why.